I went to high school in the city, Nairobi. It's called Starehe Boys Center and School. You might have heard about it or not. It's one of the best schools in the country. But I come from a very small village in Nyandarua County, and village life was my entire life before I came to this school. So I was kind of quiet, timid, and shy because, the kids who were from the city were the loudest ones. They knew everything about this environment. And one day I'm walking past a group of my classmates, around five of them, and they were laughing and giggling. They were gossiping about another classmate of mine. I think they were all from the city. It wasn't very possible to tell who is from the city and who is not, based on just looking at them. But based on their conversations, you can tell easily. So the ringleader is like, I can't believe he said Kary Petty. I'm wondering, what the hell is Kary Petty? And they're all laughing and they talked for a while. And then some other guy says, who doesn't know it's Katy Perry? And I'm wondering, what the hell is Katy Perry? So I'm listening. I want to know. I don't want to be that guy. That guy that people are gossiping about because he doesn't know how to belong to the city. I wanted to belong to the city, to be part of the city, to fit in. So I listened. And I didn't get what Kary Petty or Katy Perry were at that time. And I felt bad. Later on, I looked it up online. I realized she's a popular musician. I don't hear much of her nowadays, but I guess she was very popular when I was around 15 years old. I'm 29 right now. It's about 14 years later. So yeah, once I got it, I was happy. I'm like, now I know who Katy Perry is, and I know never to say Kary Petty. I was very quiet because I knew, when you speak out, that's when people realize how stupid you are or how much of a villager you are. When you're quiet, people don't get to see that. So I took up that silence oath, and things worked out well. But then later on, I think it was a few months later. Back in high school, we used to volunteer in government offices, hospitals, and other institutions. It was free. It was not paid, but they provided us with lunch and some transport money back to the school. So I was doing it was called holiday job. We used to do it when schools were closed. So I was doing mine at the Department of Civil Litigation. It's called Sharia House, somewhere next to KICC. If you're a lawyer or advocate, you probably know the place. So as we were working there, we got access to free internet. That entire office, the advocate side had was connected to the internet, and they allowed us to use their computers for internet searches and everything. So as I'm scrolling through the internet, all I know how to use is Google. There's absolutely nothing else I know how to do. So I was googling random stuff. I know amazing facts. What octopuses, how octopuses breathe, what is the tallest building in the world, the eighth wonder of the world, and some things like that. Those were my interests. And then a classmate of mine sitting next to me, he asks me, "What is your name on Facebook?" And I'm like, I hesitate. I don't say anything. And then before I even answer, he says, are you on Facebook? And I'm like, no, no, I'm not on Facebook. He's like, would you like to join? I'm like, okay, yeah, I would like to join. I would like to join. I still don't know what he's talking about. So then he asks me, do you have a Yahoo account? And I stammer, my origin will start showing if I say a word. I was just acting confused. I'm sure he noticed that I was not experienced in this kind of stuff. So he's like, okay, to create a Facebook account, you need a Yahoo account. So I'm like, do you want me to create one for you? I'm like, yes, yes, do that. So he quickly created a Yahoo account. I didn't know what that was. And if you don't know what that is right now, that just says how old you are. No, very few people still use Yahoo right now. So I joined Yahoo. Apparently, I joined Facebook, and it tells me this is your account, this is your password. You can change the password whenever you want. My first password I chose, just the way the keyboard letters are QWERTYIU, something of that sort. So he said you can change the password later on to keep your account secure. So yeah, I'm here on Facebook, and I start seeing friend suggestions. I see people that I know. I'm like, how does it know these people? I'm amazed. I'm amazed by Facebook and all that. I'm beginning to feel like I belong in the city right now. I know so much. I know so much. And then back in the dormitories, I have a classmate. He usually deals in the black market stuff. If you don't know what a black market is, it's an underground market that is not legal, and it deals with stolen phones. So buying and selling of stolen phones. It's not the actual thieves. The actual thieves sell the phones to the black market at a low price, and then the black market will mark up the price a few thousand shillings or 100 shillings up and sell it to you. So he used to come with new phones every week from the black market. And then he comes with this phone and tells me, this is the greatest phone I've ever had. It has YouTube. I'm like, okay, you seem to be praising this phone because of YouTube. What the hell is YouTube? Like, I'm 15 years old. I don't know what YouTube is. But he seemed excited about it. I looked at it and I'm like, he was watching a video. I'm like, that just looks like a video. What's so big about the phone having YouTube? Said he got it for very cheap, considering it has YouTube. Okay. So I learned there was something called YouTube, which I explored later on, at my own pace without anyone watching, so that I can come and display just how fluent I am in this technology and all that stuff. And then I found my classmates speaking, they're always speaking. These boys from the city knew everything, and they controlled 95% of the conversations. So they're watching and they're like, did you listen to Rick D's? I think it was top 40. I'm like, who is Rick Dees and what is this top 40 they're talking about? Then they start talking about artists who I have no idea who they are. You don't know who Rick Dees is. I don't remember which radio station he's in, but he does a weekend top 40 playlist of international songs which I had not heard. A few days earlier I'd seen people talking about Macklemore having released a new single. It was called a Thrift Shop. So I didn't know who Macklemore was, but he looked very fancy with his. If you've seen that video of Thrift Shop, with some really big woolen coat jumping all through the store. I didn't even know what a thrift store is, but later on I came to learn that it's what they call mutumba in abroad, maybe in the United States, Canada, and the rest. So yeah, like this, another day passed. These people like I was quiet, so not maybe people might have realized it's because I was having a culture shock, but I guess uh, some people just assumed I was quiet because I didn't like talking, and so they tried to invite me to some things. So I'm passing near the library, and these guys are telling me to join them for a game of Monopoly. I'm wondering what the hell is Monopoly? And I never got to know what Monopoly was until about a few years ago. Took me 8 years or so to know what Monopoly is, but they were playing. I stood there and watched. I said, I'll just watch. I don't feel like playing. I watched them move stuff on the board. They were counting some cash, which when I arrived in Canada, I thought looked weird because Canadian cash looks like Monopoly money. That was the first thing that I realized. I didn't find it interesting. I just walked away. They played for hours. I never knew a kind of game where you just play for hours and it's not ending. I hear that some people can play it for days until they run out of money or anything like that. So later on, there's this guy. I won't mention his name, but he comes and we're having a conversation. The conversations we used to have were about chess. He taught me how to play chess. A very nice guy. He helped me a lot in so many different ways. And one of these days, he's applying to schools in the US and Canada and all that, like universities. And I know, me and him know of a guy who went to Michigan State University in the US. So, and another one went to the University of Toronto. Right then we were still in high school. And, so he was telling me about his applications and encouraging me to apply, and I did. And that's how through his advice, I applied and got into the University of Toronto later on. He was telling me that the guys who go to these universities, you get free everything, free tuition paid, free housing in a very nice house, food paid for, and some a bit of pocket money. And apparently everyone was given a MacBook. So everything made sense until he said a MacBook. I'm like, what the hell is a MacBook? I'm like, I'm not going to ask. I don't know what this guy is going to think of me when I ask. And so when I arrived in Toronto, I was actually looking for the word MacBook in anything I was given, but I I got a Dell laptop, so I was kind of underwhelmed. But later on, I saw a MacBook and I was wondering what is so special about this MacBook. So imagine I've been doing like computer studies for a while, but they never taught us about anything other than Android and Windows. Like in high school they acted like that. Those are the only two operating systems that exist in this world, and that's as far as I knew about them. And I also there, not a different group of boys from the city were asking, some naughty ones. There are some naughty kids, and they're like, have you seen Kardashian's new tape? So there are two things I don't know. There's Kardashians and then there are tapes. What tapes are they talking about? You know, and I listen and I'm not making sense. They're just throwing names here and there. Uh, but yeah, I kind of got to hear something about something called Kardashians, and there are some popular people. I know the first time I stepped into Toronto, some white girl, I won't say her name, she asked me whether I knew the Kardashians. And then I hesitated because I only know the names. She might ask something personal. And she's like, okay, it's okay. You might not know who Kardashians are if you're from Kenya. She already knew I was from Kenya. But yeah, then, just as in class now in Toronto this time, like I have some classmates, international classmates from different parts of the world. So I introduced myself to this girl, and she's like, I'm from Korea. Then I want to show her that I know something. I know some geography. I know there is North Korea and there is South Korea. So I'm like, what is the best question to ask? Where do you come from, North Korea or South Korea? And she kind of looked at me weird, like, what kind of question are you asking? I didn't know how stupid the question I was asking was. And you're probably asking yourself right now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you're probably asking yourself what is wrong with asking that question. But if you know some history or some current news, no one from North Korea really gets out of the country to go and study outside. If you meet someone who tells you they are from Korea, anywhere in this world, they are 100% from South Korea. So that sounded like a stupid question. Later on, I hear people talking about the Holocaust, and you are probably also asking yourself, that sounds like a tongue twister, Holocaust. Wondering what the hell is the Holocaust? Well, if you don't know, you might be in a place that I was, and that's what Hitler did. You probably know who Hitler is, but you don't know that they call it the Holocaust. The massacre he did is called the Holocaust. And then people are very sad for some reason that a very great person had died at that time. He died a few years back, but people are still talking about him, and that is Steve Jobs. I was wondering, who the hell is this Steve Jobs that is so important to these people? How comes I've never heard of him yet? His death is such a big deal. You probably don't know who Steve Jobs is yourself, so I don't blame you. I didn't. So I later came to realize that he was a champion of technology in this world. He brought the first ever full touch smartphone into this world and so many other inventions. Yeah, life, life, life. There are things I don't know a lot.